Goodbye YouTube, how's it going everybody? Got for y'all today a Pokemon X and Y Wi-Fi battle yet again. And today it's going to be against the real Raymond. I do not know his YouTube channel, but whenever you see this man, leave a comment down below and I will make sure to add your channel link down in the description. Now I got this battle maybe around the third or fourth time I streamed, and this was one hell of a battle. This battle was like 40 turns long and it really came down to the wire. It was intense and a whole lot of fun. So definitely stick around for the whole thing. I know it's going to be like maybe 16 minutes long, but trust me guys, it was a really good battle. But before I get into talking about the team preview, hopefully everybody in America and anywhere else that celebrates Thanksgiving had a good Thanksgiving. And for those of you who went shopping for Black Friday, hopefully y'all got some good stuff. If you guys like my Facebook fan page, you would have seen what I got. And a link to that Facebook fan page is in the description of all my battles, hint hint, wink wink, as well as a link to my playlist of all my previous X and Y Wi-Fi battles. If you guys maybe missed some, or if you want to go rewatch some and see like teams that I used, you guys can click the playlist and watch them there. Anyways, I have rambled on enough. Anyways, team preview. Looking at my team, I have a physically defensive Rotom Wash, specially defensive Stealth Rocking T-Tar, Focus Sash, Magic Guard Alakazam, physically defensive Skarmory, which is going to put in a lot of work in this battle, Mega Kangaskhan, and Sand Rush Rapid Spinning Excadrill. Now looking at Raymond's team, he also has a Mega Kangaskhan and a most likely Focus Sash, Magic Guard Alakazam. But looking at threats, Azumarill and Greninja are really the two biggest things I have to watch out for. Just because Azumarill with the proper prediction and with its dual stab can just plow through my team, so that's definitely going to be a huge threat. And then Greninja being Life Orb and having Protean get stab on every single move, so that thing's going to be hitting extremely hard. So those two are really big threats. Also, if I allow Mega Kangaskhan to get up a power-up punch, then I'm basically screwed, so I also have to watch out for that. And then I guess Aegislash could be a bit of a problem, but only if it is the mixed Aegislash set. But if it's the SD variant, I should be able to deal with it accordingly. Also, look at Ferrothorn and look at my team. Literally right before this battle, I was like, put Fire Blast on T-Tar, put Fire Blast on T-Tar, but I didn't put Fire Blast. And let me say right now, Ferrothorn is just going to be such a huge problem in this battle. Anyways, I'm going to be leading off with my Rotom, as he's going to be leading off with this Shiny Greninja, which, just let me say, Shiny Greninja is awesome. So he's going to go straight for the Grass Knot, which I knew I would be able to easily take just because I've seen in prior battles that Grass Knot really does not do much damage to Rotom. As I go for the Hydro Pump, reason being is that I thought he would either go for a layer of Spikes, predicting me to Volt Switch, that way my Volt Switch wouldn't affect him because he would become a ground type, or just go for the Dark Pulse, trying to get off as much damage as he could. So Hydro Pump would have either been super effective or neutral, but as he turned into a grass type, with Hydro Pump being resisted, that still did like a solid 30 to 40%, as I'm gonna go for the Volt Switch on his switch out into the Ferrothorn. In hindsight, I really should have gone for the Will-O-Wisp, but I was fearing the fact that he might want to stay in and just go for a Dark Pulse. But yeah, in the end, Will-O-Wisp definitely would have been my better play. As I bring in my Kangaskhan, he is going to predict me to go for the Power Up Punch after Mega Evolving. And to be honest, Mega Evolving was a mistake on my part, because Laura had walked in and I got distracted and I clicked the Mega Evolution and I wasn't paying attention, so I didn't unclick it. And I knew that Aegislash would come in, and unfortunately I'm not able to get off a bit of damage on that. Then this turn, expecting him to go for the King Shield or the SD, I bring in my Rotom, and thankfully for me, he does have the SD and he turns out to not be mixed, which means Aegislash is no longer a problem whatsoever. So I'm just going to go for the safe Will-O-Wisp. As he predicts this, he's going to bring in the Alakazam, and then he's going to predict me again to switch out into my T-Tar, expecting him to go for the Psychic, and he's going to double out into the Ferrothorn. And I really wish that I had Fire Blast on my Tyranitar, but of course, as I said, I did not put it before this battle because I was like, oh, he's not gonna have a Ferrothorn. Yeah, as you can see, just follow your gut, guys, because if I had Fire Blast, this thing would have not been a problem. So I'm just going to go for my Stealth Rocks, expecting him to go for his own Rocks, or just get up a layer of Spikes possibly, because Ferrothorn can have Leech Seed, Stealth Rocks, and Spikes, so he could possibly be carrying both forms of hazards. But he actually goes for the Leech Seed, maybe expecting me to want to switch out, which isn't a bad play whatsoever, as I'm going to switch into my Skarmory, and he predicts that. Unfortunately though, he does end up missing the Leech Seed, and then I'm going to be able to get up a free layer of Spikes, and with him having no Rapid Spinner, his team is going to be taking a good amount of residual damage, as he ends up going for the Leech Seed again. I'm not really too worried about this because I know I can easily just phase out Ferrothorn and get a free switch into something else on my team to possibly get off a huge hit on it, or even bring in my Rotom to burn it with the Will-O-Wisp. And that's what I'm going to try to do, because I'm expecting him to maybe just want to go for the Stealth Rocks, Spikes, or Protect, as he actually doubles out, well, I wouldn't say doubles out, but he switches out into the Azumarill. And then he makes a bit of an odd play by staying in. I'm not too sure if he thought that I would be slower than him, or that maybe he knew he could live a hit and just get off a huge hit on whatever I had on my team. But the fact that he stayed in just really helps me out a lot, because now this Azumarill is brought down to the point where if he switches out and comes back in, he will faint to the entry hazard. So I'm just going to switch to my Skarmory, hoping that even if he does go for the Waterfall, I should be able to easily take the hit and then go for the Roost or go for the Brave Bird. But he does end up making the safe play by going for the Play Rough, and on the off chance that he was like Splash Played or something, I actually decided to go straight for the Brave Bird. But he makes a very risky play, switches into his Greninja, thinking that I would most likely go for the Roost or Layer Spikes, and I do catch him with the incoming Brave Bird, which means I just got rid of two big threats in back-to-back turns. Ironically enough, I got rid of his shinies right off the bat, so that's kind of good. I don't know. I mean, I would have liked to see Greninja and Azumarill again, but it really isn't a big deal. As he brings in the Kangaskhan, I cannot allow this thing to get up a free Power-Up Punch and have it be at +2 without any consequences. So I'm going to stay in, hoping that I would be able to take this Power-Up Punch, and just look at how much damage this does. That did 15 points of damage. At least it looks like 15 from where I'm sitting. And then the second one does about the same, but Skarmory is a counter to Mega Kangaskhan. And this was just so great for me in this battle, because now I have a way to prevent that Kangaskhan from sweeping through my team. So I Whirlwind him out into the Aegislash, which is really good for me, because now I can possibly get up a Layer Spikes or just go straight for the Whirlwind. In the end, I decided to go for the Whirlwind because I thought that the Layer Spikes or the Roost was a little bit too obvious, and a +2 Aegislash can still do a really good amount of damage to Skarmory, so I cannot allow my Skarmory to take any unnecessary damage. So in the end, Whirlwind was definitely my better play, as he did predict me to go for the Roost or Spikes, and I Whirlwind him out into the Azumarill, and now he's going to be able to get a free switch back into the Alakazam, which obviously I do not want to stay in and take his Focus Blast or a Shadow Ball. So I'm going to make the safe and obvious switch into my Tyranitar. Luckily for me though, he does just end up going for the safe Shadow Ball, which, I mean, even if he went for the Focus Blast, I do have the Chople Berry, although he would have forced me to waste it this turn. Then I might have not been able to take another one, but then he would have had to rely on Focus Blast hitting 2 times in a row, which I guess really, the odds were still kind of in my favor. But he did just go for the safe Shadow Ball, as I'm going to be able to Pursuit Trap this Alakazam, which means next time I'm able to get off a hit on this Alakazam, it will be gone, so I don't have to worry about it as much as I had to. And he's going to bring back in the Ferrothorn. I don't have Fire Blast, so I can really do nothing to this Ferrothorn, and I really do want to keep my Tyranitar around just for the Alakazam. Also, I might be able to get up my Sand late game, allowing my Excadrill to possibly sweep. So I switch into my Skarmory, as he ends up going for the safe Leech Seed, knowing that I would obviously be forced to switch out that, and his real only offensive move is Gyro Ball, which only has like 5 PP. Unless he did use the PP ups, which I can easily stall out with my Skarmory, as he goes for the Protect, allowing me to get a free switch into my Kangaskhan. At this point, I'm just really frustrated with this Ferrothorn, so I'm thinking I'm just going to go straight for the Power-Up Punch. I know that he doesn't have leftovers and most likely does have the Rocky Helmet, but I really do not care. I need to find some way to take down this damn Ferrothorn, because it is a giant thorn in my side, no pun intended. And after the Rocky Helmet and Iron Barbs damage, I'm brought down to like 30%. Luckily, I am going to be able to live this Gyro Ball, and the Sand is actually going to end up running out, which means I can save my Kangaskhan for Death Fodder later in the battle. As he goes for the Protect, I don't really know why, but I did go for the Power Punch, trying to get off a bit of damage, and then this turn I do switch out, trying to save my Kangaskhan. Sorry about that. I actually forgot about the Protect. As I said, I don't know why he went for the Protect anyways, but it isn't a big deal. As he goes for the Gyro Ball, I bring in my Skarmory, which is able to easily take it. Then this turn, I'm actually going to switch out into my Alakazam, thinking that he would go for the Stealth Rocks or the Leech Seed. This way, I can get off a good amount of damage with either the Focus Blast or the Shadow Ball. So he's going to go for the Protect. Again, I don't know why, because most Alakazams are Life Orb. I guess maybe on the off chance that I was choice specs, so I guess that's kind of understandable, but I'm just going to go for the Shadow Ball. And thanks to the fact that Steel types no longer resist Ghost moves, I'm able to get off a good amount of damage, as he's going to bring me down to my Focus Sash with the Gyro Ball. At this point, it's kind of a prediction game, but I was really confident in the fact that he would either stay in or switch into Aegislash, expecting me to Focus Blast. And the reason why I went for 2 Shadow Balls was because I would rather have the ensured damage with 2 Shadow Balls than going for a Shadow Ball and then missing Focus Blast. So in the end, I would have still just gone for 2 Shadow Balls. Even if he brought in Mega Kangaskhan, it really wouldn't have been that big of a deal because I still have my Skarmory. So in the end, 2 Shadow Balls were definitely a lot better than going for a Shadow Ball and a Focus Blast. As I bring in my Excadrill, I'm able to easily knock out the Ferrothorn with the Earthquake. Unfortunately though, he does get a free switch into his Kangaskhan. Now yes, I possibly could have brought in my Rotom to Volt Switch, but I really did not want my Rotom to take any unnecessary damage on the off chance that I needed to take a +2 hit from the Kangaskhan or the Aegislash. So I fought off my own Kangaskhan, allowing me to not get a free switch into my Skarmory, so I can either go for the Roost or go for the Whirlwind. And I believe I do just end up going for the Roost because I need to keep this Skarmory around to be able to deal with this Kangaskhan, as I know Power Up Punch will not be able to knock me out. And to be honest, throughout this whole battle, Skarmory put the team on her back. She's literally the only thing keeping this Kangaskhan from just plowing through my team, as he's going to go for another Power Punch. Even at +2, it's going to do nothing, and at +3 it does even less. So I can just safely go for the Whirlwind without any worries, as I Whirlwind him out into the Alakazam, I believe. No, that's next time, sorry. So I Whirlwind him out into the Aegislash, which is actually really good for me because now I can basically get off a free Roost, I can go for the Whirlwind, I can go for a Lair Spikes, I can basically do anything that I want to do. And I believe I do just end up going for the Whirlwind, thinking that he would Swords Dance again, expecting me to go for the Brave Bird, but that was a really dumb play on my part, because I should have gone for the Roost, and at this point in the game I really do not need to get up another Lair Spike. So yeah, this was just a dumb play on my part, going straight for the Whirlwind. And now I'm brought down to a range where Kangaskhan could possibly knock me out with Power Up Punch, so I really have to watch out for that. As I Whirlwind him out into the Alakazam, much like before, I don't want to stay in and take a Shadow Ball or a Focus Blast, so I switch into my Tyranitar, hoping that if he does go for Focus Blast, he misses or something, but he does just end up going for the safe Shadow Ball again, which I guess is kind of understandable, but in the end I really had no reason to leave in my Skarmory, so I'm going to be able to easily take the hit. As this turn, it turns out that he actually has the Dazzling Gleam, which I was really not expecting. Either that or maybe he thought that I did have the Chople Berry. And the fact that he went for Dazzling Gleam and not Focus Blast is actually going to kind of help him out, as I'm able to knock him out with one final pursuit. I no longer have to worry about the Alakazam. He is now going to bring in his Kangaskhan, and this is where him going for Dazzling Gleam and not Focus Blast helps him out, because I'm actually going to be able to live this Power Up Punch due to my Chople Berry, which means this Kangaskhan basically gets a free +2 in his attack, and this is just not looking good for me because I don't know if my Skarmory will be able to live Power Up Punch at this point, and it's really the only thing that I have to rely on to take down this Kangaskhan. So I'm going to bring in my Skarmory, hoping that after Stealth Rocks I'm able to live and just somehow be able to deal with this Kangaskhan. So he's going to go for the first one, brings me down to 25 HP. He's at +3 right now. I live on 6, and I actually go for the Whirlwind because I thought that he would switch into the Aegislash, predicting me to Roost, which was a dumb play on my part. But then again, I guess the fact that I went for the Whirlwind really isn't too bad, because at this point I need to find some way to prevent Aegislash from being his last Pokemon in on my Skarmory, because my Skarmory can do nothing to this Aegislash, and he can easily just set up to +6. So what I'm going to do here is actually switch out into my Rotom, thinking that he would fodder off the Kangaskhan to the hazards. That way his Aegislash could be his last Pokemon in on my Skarmory, but he actually ends up going straight for the Shadow Sneak. So I guess maybe he didn't think he could do that, or he just wasn't thinking the same thing that I was thinking. But either way, I switch into my Rotom, which is able to easily take the Shadow Sneak, and I'm going to be able to just safely go for the Will-O-Wisp without any consequences. If we went for King Shield here, then I still would have burned him with the Will-O-Wisp. That's what I'm trying to say. But yeah, at this point the battle's basically mine, because I'm able to burn the Aegislash, allow me to easily just stall him out and eventually knock him out with the Hydro Pump, and that's going to be the 3-0 victory in my favor. In my opinion, this battle was definitely a lot closer than a 3-0, just because Skarmory would have died off to entry hazards. My Rotom was severely weakened, and my last Pokemon was the Excadrill, which couldn't have done anything to Kangaskhan, and most likely would have been knocked out by like a +4 Shadow Sneak. But in the end, this battle was just so fun. It was very intense. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to see more content. If you missed my previous upload, that should be playing on your screen right now. There should be an annotation. You guys can click that, go watch that. And yeah, with that, guys, I will be seeing you guys soon. Hopefully the narration wasn't too bad, because this is a very long battle. So hopefully you guys did stick around for it. If you did, then thank you very much. And yeah, I'm just rambling. I apologize. Later, everybody.